Welcome to the Institute of Asian Studies at University of Brunei Darul Salam. I'm Victor King, Professor of Borneo Studies here, and today I'm talking with Professor Ooi Keat Gin, Professor of History at Universiti Sains Malaysia, Penang, who's visiting the Academy of Brunei Studies here to undertake an edited project on Brunei, which I hope we'll talk about in a little while. So, welcome, Jin. You've taken some time out to speak with us in your very busy schedule. You're only here with us for a few days. I should perhaps just say something about our connection, that we've enjoyed a long friendship and professional relationship over many years, I think now perhaps approaching 30 years. Well, 30 years. It started really when you undertook postgraduate studies with me in the UK, and you were studying at that time the economic history of Sarawak and the Brook Raj. And so I think to start with this, it would be helpful if you could just say a little bit about your early career, how you started in your study of Southeast Asian history, and particularly your work on Sarawak and then more widely Borneo. So
okay, basically, actually, what started me to actually go on further is my experience in Sarawak in Simunjan.
Mm-hmm.
I was trained as a history major with a professional component in education at Universiti Sains Malaysia, meaning that I was trained as a graduate teacher. Immediately after graduating in 1983, I was sent, together with all our colleagues, to Sabah and Sarawak. I was sent abroad to England. Mm-hmm. And you were the one which Professor Anthony Reid told me, grab whatever comes first.
You grabbed me?
Yes, grab whatever offer. What offer comes first? Then I ended up in Hull, and I'm so glad that
I was glad as well.
Wonderful people.
Yeah, you were one of our best PhD students. In fact, I think, if I remember correctly, when you graduated, when you finished your PhD, there was a competition that was organised by the Association of Southeast Asian Studies in the UK, and you got the first prize for the best PhD, doctoral thesis, PhD thesis in that year. Yeah. And this was your economic study, history study of Sarawak under the Brook Raj.
Yes, and
you.
I had.
Well, that was the question I was going to ask you. After, that was my follow-up question. I mean, after completing your work on the Brook Raj, how did you get into study of the Japanese occupation? I mean,
basically it was a chronological thing.
Okay.
It was a chronological thing. Okay, so after finishing 1841 to 1941, which was my doctoral thesis, the next step was 41 to 45. Okay, and also it was helped by when I returned back from England.
Yeah.
In December, I was invited by Paul Kratoska to Singapore, where they had a relook at the Japanese occupation of Southeast Asia, which earlier McCoy did in, I think it was Cornell. I'm not very sure.
That was something.
Several decades ago. They did. So Paul wanted to have a relook. So he invited me over, and that was another beautiful story. After I delivered my paper on Sarawak, a Japanese lady, came up to me and said something like, I like your work, or we like your work, we would like to support you. And another big envelope came to put in application to your Toyota Foundation.
Oh, they gave you some money. You got some money
Yes.
from Toyota. Oh,
A
I
few
didn't know that.
100,000, which was quite,
Wow, wow.
and that allowed me to go to London every year to the archives.
Yeah. And that was still a focus on Sarawak.
Sarawak.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
then you extended it to a wider study of the
after
Japanese
Sarawak,
period.
after Sarawak, I got an invitation for because what I planned was Sarawak, North Borneo, including Brunei, then Kalimantan.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the fellowship from the Australian War Memorial came after Toyota. After I finished with Toyota, I mean the funding, Australian came, invited me over to
Right.
be a fellow.
So you managed to spend several $100,000.
Yeah.
dollars or
Most,
yen.
Most was donated to the British economy at that time.
Okay.
So the Australians came to offer me this position. So I quickly do the Australian reoccupation of Borneo earlier than before moving to North Borneo and Kalimantan. So after having that, Sumitomo came in to cover North Borneo and Brunei.
Wait, what? Any particular reason why Sumitomo would do
Because
that?
it's something like connected with Japan.
Oh, okay.
Sumitomo only covers, at that time, they only cover projects that have any connection with Japan. So Sumitomo came in. Then after Sumitomo, the 2000s I spent in Amsterdam most of the time. The 1990s was all spent in England, London especially. Then after that, Australia, Canberra.
And Amsterdam funded you as well?
No. Amsterdam funded me later, in 2000. So in 2000, every year I go back to Amsterdam in the IAS, International Institute of Asian Studies. Then after that, by Netherlands Institute for War Documentation, NIOD, also in Amsterdam. So I have a back-to-back funding. And the Dutch were so generous. And they even launched my encyclopedia.
Yes, which we'll come on to in a moment. But out of that, the Japanese occupation research, you produced, was it three books or
more than that. More than that.
Oh, okay.
First was Japanese occupation of Sarawak. Then a 2-volume work by Ohio, Japanese Empire in the Tropics. Then after that, I did several articles. Then post-war Borneo, which more or less the same.
With the aftermath of the
Japanese
occupation. And
also chronological after 45, so 1945 to 1950. And currently I'm working on 1950, 1990, the Cold War. So looking back, when Japanese occupation of Borneo was published, it shocked me personally that I started it in sometime in 1997, and now 2015, I think the book came out. Something like more than 15 years working on the war. It's so scary.
Because this afternoon you're going to give a
the current
in the Academy of Brunei Studies on the Cold War period. Borneo and the Cold War period. From
which is the current
that's your current work.
It is like a trilogy on the Japanese occupation, 1941-45, then post-war Borneo, 45-50, and now the plus ending part, 1990.
You touched on, Gin, the historical encyclopedia.